At Talkative Try, who wants to engage with monsters? I do. I think we're missing an important middle ground in which you transitioned from needing to engage to blowing stuff up. It is the same as it was in 0.1. It is literally the same. It has been a problem since day one. I think some of us, including myself, have been saying this since day one, and we thought we were going to go in a different direction where it smooths out. In fact, it's gotten worse, in which you get more powerful quicker, and everything is less trivialized faster. I guess I should have been beating the drum louder this whole time. I only really realized it until when I went back and I played Path of Exile 1 again for a whole week, got 36 challenges, played No Rest of the Wicked, played Diablo 2, played these other games, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Path of Exile 2 in less than a year basically has the level of power creep that PoE 1 has had across 15. Guys, anybody who's saying that's not the case, come on. That's so true. That is so true. So true. Game is power crept already. I agree with you. You have such cool design for monsters and don't even have time to see them. Why have 500 plus monsters and then not care about what the monsters do? Okay, so has Path of Exile 2 already lost its vision? I think this is a reaction to my video. Path of Exile 2 must make a stand, and it's Miso responding to a part of it. Let's see. This patch 0.3 almost completely killed the more intentional gameplay vision that so many people, including myself, expected from Path of Exile 2. Abyss, super fun, but it forced builds to be able to screen clear and screen clear quickly. Yeah.
Again, I do not think that this is true.
How is this not true, Miso? How is this not true? Come on. Okay, I need to hear what he means by this. Right before we talk to him, remember, we're talking to Miso in 15 minutes. How is this not true?
Jonathan's original vision was that the game was going to be relatively fast. I think there was...
That is true. That is true.
There's no avoiding, and that's what ARPG players do want to do. Even if you stem...
And that is what... Okay, I think that is such a monolithic point of view. That is what ARPG players want to do. I think there's nuance to this conversation. I think there's room for more different types of ARPG in the isometric genre, aside from zoom, zoom, screen clear, blast, blast, very fast in the game. I think that even has room in this game, but there needs to be a progression to that. I feel like there is not a progression. I mean, some people also are advocating for a campaign skip. So you would entirely just skip out that point of progression and just go to blasting immediately.
All the way back to Diablo 2, like the best builds, what builds people wanted to aim for were builds that could clear a lot of mobs at once. Maybe it's not like blow up the entire screen big, but people were chasing for this, like, hey, clearing things as fast as possible has always been the MO for ARPGs.
Okay, did you hear what Miso said there? Did you hear what Miso said? Keyword, chasing.
Entire screen big, but people were chasing for this, like, hey.
Chasing. Not base game. I agree. Chasing. This should be aspirational. I don't think this should be just literally any old build, essentially, will be able to do this. That's kind of how it is in PoE 2. Unless the skill is complete dog, this skill can blow up the screen. It's not a chase. It really isn't. The chase becomes literally being able to like teleport from place to place. Like Temporalis is the real chase in PoE 2. That's the aspirational, right? How many players get it a league? 500, 600, 1,000? Less, maybe? I don't know. That's the aspirational. I think that's... I think the aspirational aspect of the game should be a little bit more than your Temporalises, right?
Clearing things as fast as possible has always been the MO for ARPGs.
But it also doesn't need to always be the MO. My other big thing is PoE 2 was meant to be different. They stated as much. They were going to change the way combat felt. It was supposed to be next gen. I know that he looked up some interviews where Jonathan was like, where a veteran player is like, we'll be able to screen clear and zoom. And Jonathan's like, oh, yeah. You can eventually do it, but it's going to look a little differently, right? And the journey there will be different. The whole problem is it doesn't really look any different, and the journey there isn't really all that different either, in my opinion.
always been, hey, I want to gear my character. I want to make it strong. I want to make content trivial. I want to be able to farm loot as fast as possible. That is the essence of an ARPG. And I think that any ARPG that steps away from that is kind of stepping away from it being an ARPG in general. Like, I know there's No Rest for the Wicked that people always point out. It's like, hey, here's an ARPG that's like, not really that fast and zoomy.
Okay. This is the fun. When you do this, when you go from one extreme to the other, there's an entire middle ground that you're missing, and that's what I'm fighting for. I do not want Path of Exile 2 to be No Rest for the Wicked. I don't. That does really well having its own distinct vision and standing out in the RPG genre. And I think he argues that it's not even an RPG. I would argue that it is. Has random-based loot, okay? Okay? Isometric, right? It has all the things that he just described there, except one thing. The zoom. It doesn't necessarily have the zoom.
I played No Rest of the Wicked. I did not like it because I don't think it felt it. I would describe it as, because they describe it as an ARPG that is like very Souls-like, right? There's Souls-like combat, Souls-like ARPG. But I would say it's not ARPG enough to be an ARPG, and it's not Souls-like enough to be like a Souls-like. And that
Okay. So here, it sounds like what I'm hearing is don't innovate. Don't take risks. Don't try something new. Don't go outside the confines of the game. That's why I think that's one of the big reasons I disagree. I think that they should do that. They should take risks. They should innovate. Obviously, that's what No Rest for the Wicked did. Don't just stay within your genre just because it's safe, and that's because what you want, and because you don't like that. They should be trying new things. I think they should be trying new things and trying to gain a new audience, and also trying to please that existing audience, right? Push the boundaries of it. I think PoE 2 is playing it very safe, okay? And I say this after playing all these other games and getting a little bit more experience. It just feels very safe to me.
That's why I don't like playing No Rest of the Wicked, because it doesn't feel like it really caters to either audience. If you're making an ARPG and you want to cater to the ARPG audience, you're gonna have to make it so that you're gonna be able to farm super fast, blow up big mobs, go fast, zoom, right? That's just how it is.
You can make that, but there can be a better path to that. I think that's the whole argument. I think that's where we're kind of like talking past each other, which is why I wanted him on the podcast.
The ceiling of zoom, however, you can decide what you want, because the ceiling of PoE 1 zoom is way higher than PoE 2. But at the same time, I would not say that PoE 2 is slow. And that's what a lot of people are saying right now. And I think it's kind of ironic as well. And maybe it's a different community, right? Maybe Try has never been at that community that was like, I think the game needs to go faster, right? He probably wasn't.
I have been in this community. Miso, brother, I have talked about this for so long. I have been in this community. I know people have been asking for the game to go faster. I haven't been one of those people. Brother.
Part of that community, but it's interesting because I feel like the prevalent conversation for the majority of PoE 2's existence has been that PoE 2 is a little bit too slow, and it's interesting.
No, I disagree. I think the primary narrative has been that some skills are slow, like maces. What is slow about playing Lightning Arrow? What was slow about Lightning Spear? What is slow about Hollow Palm Monk? What is slow about the Gemling Legionnaire of 0.1? There are so many fast builds in this game. I think that's a crazy take. I feel like one archetype is slow, and it's maces. Everything else in the confines of PoE 2 is fast. It's very fast. Like, the game is so fast.
Seeing like these little bits and pieces, these pockets where people are kind of pushing back right now and being like, whoa, guys, why are we making it so fast? It's a little bit too fast for me right now. So I find it really interesting that we're kind of having this conversation pop.
Okay, but that's not the point. That's why I'm so confused. This is a reaction to a broader video. And in the video, I say it's fine to be fast. It's that the way you're getting there is way too quick. I'm so confused, Miso. That's why I'm having you on the pod, because I am so confused how this is what you took from my video. I rewatched my video yesterday, and I literally say 2 minutes before this, you should be able to screen clear. Screen clearing is an important part of the game. Jonathan's always thought this. I think this should be possible. But the journey there is way too quick. It almost occurs in the campaign at this point, when back in 0.1, it happened in the end game, early end game. I think that should just be, your character's progression should be longer. So I don't understand why he's thinking I'm saying the game should be super slow. I'm not saying that. My primary argument is I want to engage in the game. I don't want to simply run around blasting packs, having them blow up like a loot pinata. I want to see the different monsters, and I want to be able to dodge their abilities. I want to, like, I don't know what is, I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over. But it's so basic. That's all I'm asking for. I'm just asking for the game to not be so trivial so quick. That is what I'm asking for. That is the essence. So that is why I'm talking to him in 5 minutes.
Well, and it's not just try, though. The thing is, it's not just try. Other people are kind of saying this as well. Like, I've heard other people talking about it. Maybe Try's the loudest one or the biggest content creator talking about it, but I've definitely heard other people say this and kind of share a similar sentiment. But I don't think that the game was ever supposed to be a not screen clear game. I think that since day one, it was supposed to be, hey, at some point, I'm going to be able to press a button and the screen's going to explode.
Yes!
Maybe you could make an argument that it gets there too early or too fast.
Miso! That is what this video is doing! Miso, this entire video, the thesis is exactly what you just said. I hate reactions. I hate Maybe he was baiting me into watching this video and inviting him on the podcast. But that is the exact point of this whole video. It's a 14-minute video, and that is the thesis statement. I'm not even kidding. That is the thesis statement of my video. What he just said. And he's acting like it's a novel idea. Miso! Miso!
Maybe you can make an argument saying that, hey, you should need a little bit more gear to get to this point. Sure, right? We can make that argument. But I don't think there's ever an argument saying that the game was never supposed to be at some point where you can just press a button and explode the entire screen. I do think, however, bossing is a little bit too non-intentional. I don't know. We do kill bosses way too fast right now. If you guys have played Path of Exile 1, you'll know that the uber bosses, the pinnacle bosses, they take a long time, and you're going to see their mechanics. In Path of Exile 2, you just blow that boss up and one-shot it. You don't see it.
Totally agree with him here, too. PoE 1 ubers far outshine the PoE 2 bosses and ubers. Like, you actually have to engage with a variety of mechanics. They're so much more intentional in PoE 1. Totally agree with him here, too. I mean, like, we agree. That's why I'm confused what happened here, because we 100% agree. So why is it framed as like, yeah, dunking on Try? No!
Any mechanics. And it's funny how Path of Exile 1 is supposed to be the zoomy game, and Path of Exile 2 is supposed to be the bossing game. But meanwhile, Path of Exile 1 is more of a bossing game than Path of Exile 2 is. So I think there really is a misalignment there, and there needs to be a big change there. The screen clear stuff, mapping stuff, keep it fast, right? We all want that to be fast. But I think there's a conversation to be had with bossing, and that bossing should be a little bit more intense.
You are flip-flopping. You flip-flopper. What are you doing? Miso, this is a 5-minute clip. This is a 5-minute clip. You're oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Miso. This is peak stalling season. What do you mean keep it the way it is, the screen clearing? I thought there was a conversation to be had about getting there too fast.
The gameplay there should take more than 2 seconds, and we should be going around and trying to dodge skills, do mechanics and things like that, because I think that is more of what at least the game engine is kind of built around. So yeah, like at some point, right, maybe you're going to get strong enough to be able to one-shot the boss. I'm not saying we shouldn't be able to one-shot the boss, but right now, every meta build is able to one-shot bosses very easily and very early on.
Problem.
Like, you don't need crazy funding to like kill a boss in 2 to 5 seconds. You really don't.
And that's my point with also blowing up monsters. That's the point. That's my point. Boom.
But I think that that's a little bit too easy. So I think keep it, but maybe just for like the ceiling characters. And if you're like less geared, you got to deal with some of the mechanics, man. That's just what the game is made around.
Miso is literally making my argument, so we're gonna get Miso on literally now. If you like that react, make sure to like, subscribe to the channel.